Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Revolutionary Theater Workshop September Melanated Monday. My name is Bianca, and I will be your MC for today. For this month, we have three insightful plays by BRTW's community members alongside a community conversation featuring a special guest. Before we jump into programming, I want to take some time to tell you who we are and what we're doing this month, starting with our mission statement. BRTW exists to disrupt any and all oppressive systems that marginalize Black people, using narrative and performance as a methodology to recenter Black people and experiences. With economic, social, educational, healthcare, housing, and political injustice facing our community, BRTW aims to tackle the issues that impact us while becoming a beacon for Black opportunity within the arts. Melanated Mondays are a monthly writing and performance salon highlighting a different theme at the intersection of Black justice and civic engagement. This month's theme is Black media, sharing stories and creating narratives. In this Melanated Monday, we share Black stories as a way to highlight the many forms Black people come in. During our community conversation, we hope to explore the many ways the media has traditionally been used to tell Black stories and expand our understanding of what's possible. And with that, let's get started. Our first piece is Things My Ancestors Gave by Mia Gogavia. Trigger warnings include depictions of death and violence and mentions of mental illness. This will be read by Zavi.
I'm staring at myself in the mirror, family pictures in one hand, trying to see who my parts belong to. It's difficult. I have a few options. My parents don't enjoy taking pictures of themselves, especially not now. The fuzzy pictures on our bookshelf tell of lives much more exciting than this, and both sides of my family have always been self-conscious. The mirror is small. I can only view certain parts of my face at one time, but in a way it helps me concentrate. I can break myself up more easily into respective parts. Eye, nose, cheek, lips. At first glance, it seems I am my mother. When we were 12, we looked the same. I am her high round cheekbones, her almond-shaped eyes, her naturally tidy eyebrows. But my mother has bird lips, small and thin, while mine are full and large, not quite like my father's, but similar. My skin is my own, a bridge between my mother's sandy buff and my father's steady brown. I used to think I was more of my father, patient and trusting and perhaps too sensitive. But as I've gotten older, more of my mother has worn through. I inherited her worry, her concern for others. My mother once told me she and my father were polite to the point of aversion. Sleep less to help out a friend, drive far to pick someone up, eat little so that others may also eat. And so they go tired, and so they go out of the way, and so they go hungry. So too do I. Late at night, my mother's past spills from her lips. We'll be lying on the couch, bored and exhausted, awake, and the thoughts will condense on her tongue until she can't hold them anymore. They overflow. My mother, my father, your father. My mother will not look at me when she says this. Her eyes gloss over and she stares at the ceiling or out the dark window, anywhere but me. So when she speaks, I take in the freckles on her cheeks, the curves of her wrists and ankles, the deep brown circles under her eyes. My mother, my father, your father. Tani Nita, my mother's mother, exists for me only in stories. About a year before my parents were married, she flew backwards off the basement steps and bled to death. I am left with the traditional mementos of her life: dolls, clothes, photos, stories, her earrings, a tendency for depression. She was a tiny woman, about 4'10", a trait my younger sister inherited, with a round face and strong legs. On her good days, Tani Nita was a Japanese-American domestic goddess. She would cook and clean and sip ultra-sugar tea and make snacks for every kid on the block. On bad days, her schizophrenia overwhelmed her. My mother remembers these incidents well and recounts them frankly. The time when her mother broke a glass over Uncle Tony's head. The time when she tried to poison her children with DDT. The time she almost cut off my mother's finger. And now I dream of my grandparents' house. The last time I saw it, the house was dead. was dead. My aunt had died, followed by my grandfather, and we were cleaning it out. My grandfather's house was a grayish brownstone with a brick bottom on a slightly run-down boulevard with about 4 trees in the front yard and 4 bushes with only growth on the top. They exposed their wrinkled, naked legs to the world. When I was small, my sister Hanako and my cousin Taninade and I used to hide between those branches. There was a little flower bed next to the steps, and we used to grow vegetables. Now, instead, there's a shiny metal ramp next to those steps. Shiny metal ramp installed after Grandpa lost his legs to diabetes. Though the house was brown, someone had decided it would be pretty to paint the trim seafoam green. Though we laughed at it, no one, I think, considered the paint job pretty or fashionable. We always kept it. My family and I lived in my grandfather's basement for a while after they were laid off in the early 90s. The house always smelled of old grease and old candy, and I remember everything in it, including Auntie Kazi and Cousin Tawny smelling like that. We used to play in the hall closet sometimes. It's strange to think of this closet as the same thing our mothers hid from their mother in. The ghosts call out to you, but you cannot hear them. Do not listen. You play where they feared, stand where they stood, unwrapped your Christmas presents and threw away the wrapping in piles much like they did, but your paths do not cross. My mother said her mother would have loved us. I wish I could find out for myself. Can you take me somewhere? According to my father, his mother was once Ardella Phelps, a young woman with chocolate skin. She was the daughter of a minister from Tennessee, a woman who could lift couches with one hand and the possessor of so much spirit and strength that it glowed around her like an aura. Her likeness sat on top of our Christmas tree for as long as I've known. An angel fashioned from brown pantyhose, 2 pearl earrings, and white doilies. The Ardella Phelps I knew was small. Her body diminished by age and Alzheimer's, by the death of her husband and several of her children. Grandma was porcelain. When she was alive, I didn't know anything else. You see, we weren't really supposed to touch her then. We'd go over to one of my aunt's houses to visit, or she'd come over to ours for a weekend, and she was just there, ancient and untouchable. Hug Grandma, say hello, and that was it. If we did, we children might break her. Though she was small and thin and quiet, there was a strength about my grandmother that I never understood when she was alive. It was as if her bones had been crafted from thin metal rods, a bird with a metal frame. My grandmother wore sparkly sequined outfits in bold colors and cream-colored suits with large hats, but I turned my nose up at them and wondered how often my aunts dressed her up like this, like a doll, like an oversized, underfed child. Mom, you can't go there. Mom, would you like something to eat? Mom? And she would reply, will you take me somewhere? She would grab your hand and hold it in that grip of hers, soft and tight, a grip you neither wanted to return nor escape from. Will you take me somewhere? Once I thought about doing it. The last time I saw her, it was at a family birthday party for relatives born in spring. Mom and I went and said hello to her, gave her a hug, squeezed her hand. She held on to it, whispered, will you take me somewhere? And didn't let go. There was food on the table. Someone had made banana punch cake. The smell of Uncle Will's ham wafted seductively from the next room. But I couldn't break her grasp. Will you take me somewhere? Will you take me somewhere? And suddenly, I wanted to do it. There was nothing more I wanted to do than snatch the keys from my father's jacket pocket, wheel my grandmother to the car lazy boy, and drive off. To where? As far as I knew, she'd lived in Indianapolis all her life. To the cemetery to see her husband then? To the house they lived in when my father was young? Or just somewhere? Just to drive off, to turn when she said turn, go straight when she said go straight, and to bust Grandma out of this life and dark, grease-smelling houses into the cool March air. Mrs. Gavia, my mother said. Come on, Mom, it's time to let go, Aunt Beatrice said, and my mother and I pulled our hands from hers. Grandma folded her brown hands in her pastel pink lap, and it was silent. Soon after, she forgot how to speak. She lay in bed, small and sunken and staring, for 6 months before she died. She'd grown tired of waiting for someone to take her somewhere, I think. She went somewhere herself, left her body behind to keep an eye on her family. She was the last of the Grands. Once on a drive back to Oberlin, my father told me in a voice that was dry and raspy that his mother's voice used to do this as well. Through the sand and the gravel, he said he could hear her. The past has a habit of never staying in one place. It dilutes, condenses, continues on a slender thread, as visible to families as the sameness in eyes and noses. It connects us. I know my ancestors because I am them. Now in my room, the past condenses on my tongue. My family is waiting for their story to be told. The words spill from my lips, spill from my hands, and I overflow.
Thank you, Zavi. Our next piece is Match Point by Crystal Delahue. Trigger warnings include diagnosis and strong language. Stage directions will be read by Cyril. Arthur will be played by Donnell. Jean will be played by Kanisha, and Morgan will be played by Ceedee.
Time, April 8th, 1992. Afternoon. Setting, Arthur Ashe's home in Manhattan, New York. At Rise, Arthur Ashe stands center stage in vintage tennis shorts and shirt, reliving the day he won Wimbledon. He runs back and forth, swinging his tennis racket back and forth. He hits one last forehand shot and falls to his knees. He's just won Wimbledon. We hear audio of applause. He holds up the trophy and takes a beat. He puts on a robe and lays down on the couch. Enter Jean Ashe with a camera in hand. She stands over Arthur, watching him sleep, and then takes a photo. Arthur wakes up startled.
Match point. Jean, did you just take a picture of me sleeping?
Yes, honey, it's for my portfolio. You look so peaceful when you sleep.
Because I'm asleep?
Feels Arthur's head.
Why are you so warm?
I was reliving my glory days with this thing.
Arthur, you know you're supposed to take it easy. You can hurt yourself.
Jean grabs Arthur some water and a towel.
You're right. I don't need to add back problems to all of my other issues. You always you always take such good care of me.
It's not rocket science.
I'm serious. Any other woman would have left me long ago in my condition.
Well, I'm not any other woman. I love you for better or for worse, in sickness and in health.
I've been sick for most of our marriage. You've been there for me every step of the way, and I'm grateful for you, to God for you.
Doorbell rings.
Wonder who that is.
I'll get the door.
Jean goes to the door. Enter Morgan, Arthur's attorney.
Hey, Morgan, come on in. Can I get you some water or coffee?
No thanks, Jean. Arthur, how are you feeling?
Unsure. When your lawyer shows up unannounced, it's never good.
There's something we have to tell you.
Are you leaving me? You just said in sickness and health.
Of course not.
Really? Your friend Doug from USA Today called about an hour ago. He wanted to know if the rumors are true that you have AIDS.
What? How the hell did he find out? And why didn't you tell me this about an hour ago?
I wanted you to rest.
You wanted... Okay.
Where are you going?
I'm going to call Doug and cuss him out.
It's not a good idea to be the angry black man right now.
We're friends, and he betrayed me.
There are no friends in media, you know that. And at least he called first before.
Before what? He's going to tell the world I have AIDS. I can't believe this. I finally made peace with this situation and all that comes with living with this disease. This is re-traumatizing me all over again.
I'm so sorry, Arthur.
Can we take any legal action against Doug?
Unfortunately, no. There are no laws regulating the privacy of health information. But there is something you can do. You have to go public with their diagnosis before they do.
No.
You have to. Doug's article is coming out, and it's better to get ahead of it before it hits newsstands.
He has no integrity. I would expect this from the National Enquirer, not the USA Today.
They're all the same. They need to sell papers by any means, and you're fair game.
So, because I'm famous, they have the right to tell the world I'm dying of AIDS?
Arthur is struggling to appear strong. Jean guides Arthur to sit.
Calm down, honey. We can't let your pressure get high.
To them, this is no different than revealing you had a heart attack in 1979. If a public figure has an illness, it's their job to reveal it to the public. I'm not saying that it's right, but it is their job.
Maybe this is a good thing.
How can you say that?
You've been holding onto the secret for years. I know it's been a burden. This newspaper, in their own disgusting way, is forcing you to free yourself of the secret.
Huh. Me not telling the public I have AIDS was about our right to privacy, protecting you and our daughter and nothing more.
You're sure it's not shame? There's stigma about having HIV and AIDS.
I've been keeping this secret because people would think I'm gay. It's not about keeping my private business. This media is ruthless. You see how they act when I lose a match? I can only imagine what they'll do if I reveal this.
And this is why we're going to get out ahead of this. I've set up a press conference at the HBO office. There will be no questions. Jean will be standing beside you, wearing a soft color. Actually, what you have on now is perfect. You should wear a neutral color.
When did you become Ralph Lauren?
Arthur, please.
Morgan grabs a speech out of a folder/briefcase and hands it to Arthur.
I've written a statement for you. It includes when and how you were diagnosed and why you chose to keep it private. This is where we point the finger at the media. You should add what the diagnosis means to you, your family, and the community. Address any stigmas and rumors about HIV and AIDS, and how you'll continue to donate to the research efforts of AIDS organizations.
You're going to change the world. Think of all the people you'll save by revealing your diagnosis. They'll find comfort knowing that they're not alone in this fight.
So, when is the press conference?
5 o'clock.
That's in an hour.
We have to beat them to the punch.
I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go get dressed. I'm going to make some phone calls to my friends and family. I don't want them to hear about this on the news. Freedom of press. Maybe we should rethink America.
I laid some clothes out for you to choose from. Let me know if you need any help.
Okay.
It's
Thank you so much, you guys. Our last piece is Dulce et Decorum by Mia Gogavia. Trigger warnings include death, police brutality, and gore. Stage directions will be read by Ev, and this will be performed by Fafa.
The Congresswoman enters wearing a bloody suit. There is a bullet hole in her side, and her blouse is ripped open at the neck, exposing her bra. She looks like the famous Eugene Delacroix painting, Liberty Leading the People.
The night I was murdered, they played it on the news. They covered it on Gawker, HuffPo, The Times, and Time. A simple Google search will show you. You can even see the video on YouTube. The night I was murdered, I was speaking at a rally. I was speaking about activism and nonviolent protest and coalition building and change. The coalition building is what scared them the most. They didn't kill Malcolm or Martin or Fred Hampton until they talked about our greater oneness. I talked about how I was no longer content to be a thorn on the seat of power, a gadfly in their ear, a penknife making 1,000 tiny cuts to bleed them dry. I wanted my people to be more than that, a tsunami, the divine wind, Noah's flood. I told them that our love for each other was larger than us and could become larger still. I shouted, "Let us be a wave."
She raises her arm, raising the flag as well. It is an unconscious mimicking of the painting.
After I was murdered, they never re-aired my speech. My people suspect it was a white supremacist, a cop, or an oath keeper, or a civilian gone too far. Their people suspect it was us. Gang violence, radical Black separatists, intra-tribal warfare, or, if they're white, a deranged lone wolf. I don't know much else except the wound in my side and some of what happened later. If you look up the unedited video, you can see when the paramedics ripped open my shirt to try and restart my heart. They broke my grandmother's strand of pearls. She'd bought them on her own, saved up money from her job as a maid. And I remember thinking, I will never get those pearls back. Because I didn't want to think about the cameras flashing at my exposure. I didn't want to think about the last pictures my family would see of me, bloody, bare-chested, writhing in pain.
She swallows hard, beat.
There was this poem I read in high school, written during World War I. It was a famous anti-war poem. I am a pacifist, and my brother was killed in Vietnam, so it spoke to me. The end goes, if in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face, like a devil sick of sin. If you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud, of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori. It is not sweet or noble, like the Latin says, to die for your country. Malcolm and Martin and Fred Hampton all died in anguish and pain, and it is so much more than what you've seen or read or dreamt about. My death was more than pixels on a screen.
She screams.
You want to see violence? You want to see death? Then look at me. Look and know that I gasped and seized and coughed up blood, that I cried to God and my mother, and that none of them saved me, that it took me approximately 513 seconds to die, and that I felt every single one of them. You want to look at violence? You want to gape at my violation? then you better do more than look. Plunge your fingers in these wounds and feel.
She puts her fingers in her wound, whimpers. She brushes the blood on her cheeks like war paint or rouge. She colors her lips, perhaps. She raises her hand to the audience, imploring them. It turns into a salute, either to farewell or to rise. She looks toward heaven. Her voice cracks.
Oh God, let us be a wave.
End.
Thank you guys so much. This ends our formal programming. We're going to take a short break and then be back for our community conversation. Hello, everybody. We are back with Brent. Thank you so much for joining us today. Brent, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. First of all, everyone that just performed, amazing. Tens all around for
Facts.
everybody.
Facts. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to read like a little bio of yours and then we can jump right into our conversation.
Amazing.
So Brent is a multi-hyphenated producer and performer hailing from Chicago. He is currently based in Bedside, Brooklyn. Brent is a firm believer in creating your own opportunities and is committed to creating works that align with his passions and beliefs. Through storytelling, Brent advocates for the livelihoods that deserve space in media and society. He aims to create works that both enlarge and resemble the real, multifaceted, and vivid lives of Black, brown, queer, and trans people, with an emphasis on accessing and restoring narratives lost, dismissed, and untold. In his career, Brent has served multiple roles and positions across leading media and film outlets, including HBO, Vice, Freeform, BuzzFeed, QB, The Griot, Disney, Hulu, Freeform, and more. Very, very full list of channels that you've been on. I'm very impressed. Also, I'm also from Chicago, so it's
Oh,
great to
what's
have a fellow
good?
Chicagoan.
Yes.
Yep. Do you have anything that you wanted to include alongside your bio as a little introduction for you?
Sure. I originally came to New York for theater. Actually was pursuing musical theater. I will say, was going that route for a mighty long time. And other doors just opened for me, and I kind of just like went where the money was,
Period.
for lack of a better understanding. I will say now though, I'm actually trying to get back into it. But why I'm bringing that up is just that I think that within these spaces, I think there were a lot of tools that I built and like kind of sharpened while doing theater that helped me in the long run. Like even just like being able to like tap into emotional intelligence and like how you communicate with people, devising materials and even working with people. So I will just say not all that to say that know that sometimes while doing this work, you know, you never know where you're going to go, but like it's really limitless because like the tools that you get here, you can really take and like fly with anywhere.
Right.
So I'm very in awe of all of you and happy to be with y'all and chatting.
Awesome. Thank you so much for adding that. I think that's a great segue into my first question for you. Talk to us a little bit more about the work you're doing currently, like if you have any projects that you're currently working on and want to just share and highlight in this space.
Sure. So right now I'm actually working on a podcast, a little bit of a
Period.
shift for me. I'm trying to like elevate the ways that we like hear stories and you know, even trying to just like sonically build worlds outside of just like speaking. So I'm playing with that a little bit. Hopefully we'll be able to drop like some more tangible things soon. I just worked on a documentary for HBO called The White Savior Complex that should I think is coming out later this week. So like if you have Max, you can like kind of check that out. What else is going on in my life? I'm a part of the New York Neo Futurists, which is a theater company here in New York. So
Yes.
I'll be in the show from October. No, yes, from October through November. So if you want to come down, say hi. I'll be there every weekend. You know, I'm really just like going where I want to go. You know, so I'm kind of all over the
Love
place
that.
in a little way, but I'm just like
Yeah.
being where I want to be right now. So a couple things on the pipeline, but just like still working. You know.
Awesome. Great. And that That show that you were talking about, was that Infinite Wrench in the Lower East
Yes,
Side with New York?
yes.
I love
Epic
that
Wrench.
show so much. Everybody go see it. Infinite Wrench is
Yes,
amazing.
come.
Please, yes. Oh my goodness, that is such a treat. I'm geeked right now. But
It's
you,
only my first. It's only my first year, so I don't know when you saw, but I'm trying to live up to the expectation.
I'm sure you will do fantastic. I will definitely try and catch one of those shows. Um, I think my next question is in your bio on your website, you mentioned that you field produced this docu-series called The Come Up. And the series follows six young people in NYC as they pursue their dreams. The series amplifies queer and BIPOC stories that don't usually get told. Can you talk to us about the unique lens sharing these stories through a docu-series allows us, as opposed to other forms of media such as journal articles or social media posts?
Oh yeah. One of the things that really gravitated me, well, just to even take it back a little bit, The Come Up is a series on Freeform. It follows about like six different Gen Zers as they are at different aspects. They're all in different fields of artistry, and they're all at different
Mm,
levels. And they're basically just trying to like work towards a goal of like coming up. And some people are like really close to like the come up. Some people are like pretty far, and it just kind of like shows like this like hustle spirit that New York has.
mm,
And one of the things that gravitated me towards working in docs is that you have like budget allowing, you have the time to really sit and live and grow with the story. And so many other
mm,
different like facets of the industry, you're in a silo and you're behind a computer and you're trying to like craft this thing. And a lot of times when you're on like a follow doc such as this, you have to have an idea. There needs to be some kind of framework. You can't just like come show up and like not be prepared, but you also have
mm,
to be willing to move and mold and like shift with your cast. And so, like on that show, there were many times where we had an idea, or we wanted to do a thing, or we were going to go sit with a person and follow them do X, Y, and Z. But like as we know, people's lives are messy, and you kind of sort of
mhm,
just have to like follow and like figure out like what that story is. And we had the time to like really be able to like sit with these folks and really like craft a story that was one authentic to like where they were, and then
mm,
two was not within like this time constraint of, oh, because we're shooting in winter, it needs to like revolve around winter. Like we were really able to like tell like a full story that like went across like really 8 months. And a lot of times you
wow.
don't really have that luxury when you're writing an article, or if you're trying to get a TikTok or something up, because everything is so now and not really evergreen to like time. But with that show, and a lot of times in other instances, we were really able to like sit with the story and like follow it and really let the story tell you where to go instead of like trying to micromanage it all. Now, that's not to say that in some cases we're gonna go, with certain people that won't be the case. But a lot of times,
Right.
at least as a producer, that's what you want to strive for, and that's what you want to fight for. So yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that. As you were speaking, it kind of made me think about how oftentimes when at least I consume other forms of media, I feel as though I get very much so a flat kind of vision of somebody, and you just see
Mm-hmm.
like one version of the story. And I've found in like academia and just as a person who tries to remain on top of information, it's always, get multiple sides of the story, like see all of the viewpoints, yada yada yada. And it's like, how do you do that when you're in like your echo chamber, you're consuming one thing? But I love how you were saying that you really see a lot of these people as you follow them over the course of months that you have. You get to see the full rounded person, you get to see all parts of them. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I guess my last question was be speaking a little bit about social media. How can we use social media to uplift marginalized stories and encourage a multiplicative view of Black people specifically, but all people in general?
Yeah, this is tough because I think that social media has changed and evolved in so much, and it's kind of
Mm,
made it challenging for like your work to get seen. And so I think a lot of times people kind of then will alter like, well, what is my work? But I think that really one of the main things that I like, at least in my perspective or how I approach social media is I try to keep it to what I see and what I know that's on the ground. So if that
mm,
means that like where you are, if there are, you know, elders or friends or people who you can reach out to and like touch, and they have authentic and like dynamic stories, like tell those stories. Like you don't have to
Mm,
reach across the sea or like go to, you know, some place that is foreign to you to like tell this black story. You can tell the story that's in your neighborhood. You can tell what's happening in
right.
your home. And I think a lot of times you're kind of pushed away from that because you see folks doing things that are so large and that are so, you know, so social media is so wild. Like you literally see a little bit of everything. but
Yeah.
I think just at the base of it, I kind of try to keep it to like where my feet are and like stay
Mm,
grounded in that way. And I think that helps because I think also too, especially when you're talking about like how to even just give like these different viewpoints of just like Black lives. I think a lot of times like respectability and like all these other different systems kind of get in the way of like what Black lives we talk about. So if you can kind of keep
mm,
it to what it is that you know and what's in front of you and like what you can actually reach out to, I think that's probably the best start. And then I think from there you make different adjustments as to like, you know, like what it is that your like end goal is. But I think if you
mm,
start there, you can't really go wrong. And then
mm,
even just to add, even though you didn't say this, like I was reading a tweet about how the writer for I hope I'm not getting this wrong, I should have wrote this down, but the writer for Judas and the Black Messiah and for they clone Tyrone only has like less than 3K followers on Instagram and it's like
oh,
private.
wow.
And so I think like a lot of times people think that like for you to like actually be like this person to do this thing, that you have to like have all this viewership or have all these things. And like that's not the case at all. Like one of the ways that I even fell into production was because back in the day, like Tim can tell you, like back in the day, like 2014, 20, not even, that's not even that long ago, but like in 2014, 2015, I had a YouTube channel and nobody was watching that YouTube channel. Like I
Mm,
probably had like less than 100 views on like every single video, but a lot of those videos were concept material that I could then go and show people like, look, I have ideas. The
mm,
execution may not be 100%, but I can show someone like this thing was in my head. I put it on paper. Here it is in front of you. And a lot of times that will get you so much further than being able to just say, well, 50,000 people subscribe to this thing. You know, you can
mhm,
really like take your work and like just because you do this one thing in this one channel or in this one place does not mean that that IP can like grow and live in other places or like flip and mold into several things. Like maybe it's not a Broadway play now, or maybe it's not like this like 3 arc movie now, but like that's not to say that like it can't be. And I think a lot
mm,
of times people get discouraged when they like look at numbers, but like the work speaks for itself in all
mm,
cases, no matter where you go. And so I think with social media, you kind of sort of just really have to like stick to like where your feet is and like what you know, what you can touch, and like trust your gut. Like, is this good? Like, am I interested in this? Then someone else probably is. And somebody else might
mhm.
have the money for you to like continue to go forward with it. So you kind of just got to get out there and just like throw things at the wall.
I love that. Thank you so much. I feel like that was inspirational for me to hear. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as creatives, there can be kind of this back and forth of like, well, is my story important enough to like share, to hear? Is anybody interested in that? But just like that last piece that you said of like, someone will be interested, somebody will pick it up, somebody will have the resources to get you where you need to go.
100. And the thing is too, another thing, like even if the idea isn't the best or isn't what actually I won't even say that even if the idea isn't the flavor that somebody else is like looking for, a lot of
Mm,
times people are moved by your passion. Like think about your
mm,
favorite show or think about your favorite thing. A lot of times like people love it or get into it because the people who are doing it are having fun or they are
right.
interested in it. And so like let that also be what moves you. Like, does this move me? Like, is this like I said earlier, like be where you want to be? Like people can tell that you like that you may not want to be doing this thing. Like that
Right.
reads. So if you
Yeah.
kind of stay in the place where it's like I'm moved by this, I'm going to let my passion move me. People are also like they eat that up. Like
Mm,
I think we kind of have gotten away from you know authentic good storytelling because we're getting so much into metrics. But I think if you stay at to what is it like your passions, like you cannot go wrong.
mm. I love that. And with that, I think that's a great note to open it up to the rest of the community that is still here. If people feel comfortable to turn on their cameras, you are welcome to do so. I just wanted to give space for anybody who wanted to share any thoughts, anything that's on their spirit after hearing this conversation, or if you had any questions that you wanted to ask Brent or the room, feel free to do so.
I have a quick question for Brent. You talked about that you were able to put your episodic on Freeform. Could you elaborate like that process a little bit more? Like, how did you go about it in terms of like getting it on there? I just want to hear the story more so. Yeah.
Yeah, so with the come up, I was a field producer, so I didn't sell the project. I was hired onto it, but I'll say this. Like to make a long story short, that show came to be about because of an initiative that was created through Disney to essentially create like more diverse Black stories. And the folks who worked there then bought a whole bunch of stuff that was then acquisitioned, and they hired people to like make it. But the way that I got that job was because like 6 years ago, I didn't even work with this person. I just like we were in the same department, but didn't necessarily work together. And they, again, back to that passion, they just saw that I was driven, saw that I was like, very like a lot of times I was pitching things that some people didn't want to see or didn't want to hear, but I was like, that never stopped me from pitching, and just like still like kept going. We kind of built a relationship that way, even just across social media. So when this came across their desk, they tapped me. And so I think so I don't know if this really answers your question, but like sometimes you kind of sort of just got to put your best foot forward and just like keep striving at what it is that you want to do, and people will like find a way to like work with you if they want to work with you. But I think in that Freeform instance though, that was a part of like a much larger acquisition that happened between production companies. And then they like hired out. They didn't even like make it. They basically like hired folks out to make it. It can be
Okay.
kind of tricky a lot of times, but
All right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
yeah.
Did anyone have any other questions that they wanted to ask or thoughts that they wanted to put into the space?
I'll throw it out. Hey Brent. Thank you for sharing. I just really wanted to emphasize kind of what you said about the transparency of having a good time and doing and what you're doing and how that reads. I think that that's a super important thing that we've also gotten away from, and I really love that. Like I be saying it sometimes when I'm directing and stuff like that, and then people will be looking at me like, "Okay, I guess." So it was really cool to hear you speak about that, and it's interesting. It's not. This might be a question. It might not be. It's interesting that as we're talking about social media, like how we I don't know if there's a way to portray like this is I'm really passionate about this. I'm really having a good time. And because when you're doing your art and you're living in your craft and you are like you're passionate feeling your project, it's very easy for people to see that on social media and just like scroll, right? Because everybody on social media appears to be really loving what they're doing and really living in their passion in their project. I don't know, like to you, is there a way to make that more authentic? Is there a way to showcase that, or do you not even worry about like kind of like showcasing just how much you care about something and the right people might just come up on it? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, it does. It does. I think in some instances you have to kind of take it offline. I think is the other thing. Like, so like if there is like a aspect of a community or a thing that you're very much interested in, I think the starting place is social media, but then you kind of sort of have to find a way to tap into that or like find an exchange with folks who also do that. Um, like instead of just like posting and then just like walking away and kind of just hoping the algorithm like takes care of it. You kind of sort of have to do like a little bit of legwork,
Mhm.
uh, which I think is like very much like what people used to do, even when you had to like run around to like get someone to like listen to like your CD. Like now you can just kind of sort of drop someone a link and be like, listen to it, but like, are people actually like really like tapping in with your thing? So you kind of sort of have to like also cultivate those relationships to kind of help push things forward. And maybe that even just means like, like a collab or a thing, which in turn will grow your presence because you have their network, your network, and you're like now making this thing. Um, did that? Oh, and also what I was going to say too is that with the having fun part, there's also like I know we're all like number focused and like focused, but like frequencies don't lie, and people feel those. And so like I think that like you're on like you're 100% right. Like people like very much should be like having fun like what it is that they do because those frequencies people pick up on. And I feel like I said this earlier and I probably was like keep saying it, but like it does like pay off in the long run. Like I feel like me and Tim go back a little bit, and like I'm pretty sure I've even said this to him that like it may not set you up for your next thing or like the third thing, but maybe like the eighth thing or the ninth thing,
Mm.
and then that introspection of being able to look back and be like, oh, this is how this all kind of panned out. I think is like more so what happens more often than like actually trying to like see it tangibly like right now.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for being here tonight, Brent, and everybody here. I guess my question is a little broader when it comes to media. I think a lot in a lot of the news, there's been a conversation about the buying of BET. People like Byron Long and
Mhm.
Tyler Perry. And that's been like a long conversation, kind of expounding in the last 2 years. My question is, what do you think of the future of Black media generally, and also in regards to owning it? There's been a lot of powerful media companies that we consume all the time, but there's never been
Right.
a completely Black-owned media, quote unquote, juggernaut.
Right.
This is 2042 or 2000 or just sometimes next week. How do
No, you're
you
right. Yeah.
how do you see our community kind of building something that could possibly be our own and a reflection of, oh, this is uh, societally gifted. I know
Right.
it's and again, thank you
Yeah.
so much for here this evening.
Um, I have to remember that this is recorded because I might say something a little problematic. But I think, well, just to even take it a step back, I think that we should actually have a conversation about what does it mean to like for something to be Black owned, and like what are the qualifications for Black owned? Like, does that mean a Black person wrote it, or it's like Black facing, or Black person funded it, like a Black person is like at the table? Because a lot of times I feel like with these companies projects like literally anything, they'll kind of put that Black owned stamp, and that's just like pretense, like, or just like some like masquerading as Black owned when really like Black folks are not on the receiving end of that cash. Like it is very much like I think people have realized that Blackness can equal cash, but are Black people getting that cash? And then on top of that, I think what's more important when we talk about like things being Black owned, like outside of just like yes, we want the money, we want our things to be seen, we want to have that reach, we want to like the billboard, but also are people working outside of this project, outside of this thing? Are you only like thriving in this single room? Like when I hear about Tyler Perry or whoever like buying a thing, like I also want to know, are the people that are working that are going to be able to thrive outside of this thing? Like is there actually something within this institution that is like pouring back into the community that it is like either working with, that it is in? Like like I can like go work for all these different companies, but like what does it then mean if I can't find a job outside of like where my last job was? So I think questions like that, I feel like we should kind of sort of really start to like chip away at and like ask more of, and not necessarily let go of the idea of like owning things Black, but also just like what happens after that? Like, what does that actually mean for people who want employment? Like, is this Black owned thing going to, open doors for your peers, the next generation behind you? Is it going to actually like do something beyond this like free screening? Like are there actual like tangible things and resources that are going to be put in place for the folks that like you say this thing is about? So I think that's one part of it. The second part of it is like, yes, let's own these things. Yes, let's get this bag. But just because as this black on it does not necessarily mean that this is like going to be the safest place. Like I think that with all these things, there still need to be like guards put in place for folks to succeed, make material that is equitable and that is not, disenfranchising. Like I think there's like so much more that goes beyond that. But like at like the headline is beautiful. Like the feeling I get when I hear that, there could be this like oasis where we can make all these black wonderful things like is exciting to me, but practically how do we then make something? Like what does that then mean for like the things that like the stories you want to tell? Does that, because I personally, again, I'm trying to remember this is being recorded, like if I hear that certain individuals are like blind some of these companies, that also like kind of is like a flag going off that like this person doesn't tell a full story of like what I know Black life to be. So does that then mean that those stories won't be told here? Or so I think I think it's tricky, and I think it's a thing that kind of has to happen through conversations and like through I was gonna say boards, but groups. And like folks really should like start like really, really, really like envisioning like what does that look like, as opposed to just like, yes, let's get it black owned, but like, okay, but what do I want a black owned media conglomerate to look like? What do I want that to actually facilitate as outside of just like, us now taking up space in Viacom, or like us like having this like, space to do X, Y, and Z. It's just the like what is the long term for that? If that answers your question.
It certainly does. Thank you so much. You make an absolute valiant point with what it looks like in city and community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but I think we should keep dreaming it. Like I think that like I'm very like I close my eyes and see it, and then like, okay, now I can like make it happen. Like Octavia Butler, like what's that quote? Like, like get to it, see it, so be it. Like you can't, like you really have to dream it up, and you really have to like really start. But within that dream, like hit every corner, and like go through every door, and like really like dust these things off, and really think about like what would you want that to be for you and like for others. But it is exciting. And I do think that it actually is like very like I think the possibilities of all that is like closer than we even think. Especially now with like the way that like all this unrest and things are happening with strikes. Like I personally believe that there is going to be an entire like maybe not an exodus. It might be a push. It might be like a willingness to leave. But like within all of that, I think there will be a new class. And I think that a lot of folks have like big ideas, and I'm excited for like what all that would then like look like on every level, like that's like not even just like the executive level, because like we also got to think about like to like make things happen, to get things to move, there's 100 hands that touch things, and like those hands need to be paid well, respected, need to like be within like good conditions, like supported. So I'm excited. To say how that's to say.
You. Me too. So much. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, everybody, for those questions. And thank you, Brent, for sharing your wisdom with us.
Of course.
That is all the time that we have for today. Unfortunately, I feel like we've gotten into such good conversation. But I am gonna have to cut it short. I'm so sorry. But before we go, did you just want to plug that shows that's coming out on HBO Max again, so we could put it in the
Oh
description?
yeah. I'm also it's called the White Savior Complex. Actually like kind of spicy, so we'll be interested to see like what y'all think about it. Yeah, the White Savior Complex, and yeah, that's really it for right now. I'm also gonna just drop my socials in the chat. Oh, Brent, like feel free to hit me up, send me your
Love
stuff.
that. Thank you. And it will be in the description of our YouTube video. So people can follow you through there.
Everybody, Bianca was right. Infinite Wrench is one of the best shows in New York City right now. And it is Brent Whiteside, our speaker for this evening. If you guys are in and around the area, I do completely recommend you guys go checking out this show. It is definitely one of a kind and one of the best times I've had in the theater in a long time. But Brent can elaborate on when that is running.
We run every Friday and Saturday at 10:30. We're like a really huge company, so the cast evolves. So like even if you go this next weekend, there will be a show. I just might not be in it, but my run starts the first weekend of November. I mean October, and it goes through the second weekend of November. DM me. I have family, friends, and family rates. So
Awesome.
happy to hook y'all up.
Thank you so much for that. And what is it, like 60 shows in an hour or the
So
30?
we do 30 plays in 60 minutes. So like ranging from like dance pieces to silent pieces. Maybe a play is outside the theater. Maybe it happens in your
Yes.
head. Like it literally it's wacky, but it's also like very poignant and it's quick. So like ADHD friendly. So like if you like want to get in, get out, like you can get in and get out. And we also do
Okay.
classes and workshops. Like my introduction to the theater company was actually just taking a workshop. And it like really helped like even my this writing process. So that's like lots of resources for folks, like depending on if you want to see a show, like do a workshop, small plug. We also have a podcast. I had an episode dropping on Monday. Oh wow, that's another thing. but but yeah,
Yes.
come
Oh,
see us.
Yes, give it all to us. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. That is
Of
it
course, thank you for
for
having me.
Of course, that is it for our second September Melanated Monday. You can continue to follow BRTW on Instagram and Twitter at the BRTW. You can also find us on our website, www.blackrevolutionarytheaterworkshop.org, and that is theater with an RE. And finally, you can find us on Facebook at Black Revolutionary Theater Workshop. Again, with an RE. That is all I have for today. I'll see you guys next month.